What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic Blast podcast. It is me, Grayson. I am actually leading the show today because my lovely co-host here, Keenan. What's going on, Keenan?
Hey.
He's feeling a little under the weather, at least when it comes to his voice. So I have donned the mantle of the leadership positions.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to this. This is something that we could possibly do. We could switch it up.
Yeah.
Episode to episode, maybe.
For sure.
This week we were planning on letting you do this anyways. I just happened to get sick too.
Yeah.
Which I think my voice sounds better now.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds better when you first walked up today, but...
I sound smooth.
Yeah.
No, I'm dying.
But yeah, today is a special episode. We're actually going to be giving our thoughts. We're going to start with our non-spoiler, and then we'll move into spoiler thoughts after that. But we're going to be giving our review on Captain Marvel. But before we get into it, if you guys would please follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at comicblast_ on Twitter.
Yes.
And me and Keenan's personal Twitters are also in the bio of that. And we also have a contest going on for a Into the Spider-Verse Blu-ray. Any details that I need to mention on that?
Yeah, so last episode we mentioned that the link to the contest would be in the description of wherever you're listening to. Originally, one of the ways to enter into the contest for the Into the Spider-Verse Blu-ray was you had to be a subscriber of our YouTube channel. Unfortunately, YouTube decided that that's against their policy now, which is really weird because I've done it before in the past, but it's a new policy that they're implementing. So we had to take that down. So as of right now, the only way to enter into the contest is to be a follower of us on Twitter. You can get a bonus entry, but it's not required to retweet one of our tweets. So you can still check out the link, or just go to our Twitter page, and we actually will have the link posted on there for the contest entry. And and then it'll give you directions on how to enter. But sorry about the confusion with that. It's something that was kind of unexpected. We were looking for other ways to let people enter into the contest, but right now you have to have a Twitter account, follow us, and we're planning on doing some fun things on Twitter in the future anyways.
Yeah, so I think it would definitely be in your best interest to get a Twitter account if you don't have one.
Yeah, go follow us, and yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't people have Twitter? I think Twitter's great.
I've talked to a lot of people. Some people just don't like Twitter. It's just not their thing, but it's up to a personal opinion.
They're missing out.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, Captain Marvel. We saw it Thursday night. We are recording this on a Sunday for people who do not know.
Sure.
And also, this episode will be coming out when our normal episode usually comes out, which will be a Monday. And you can find our regular episode tomorrow, which would be a Tuesday, correct?
Sure. Yeah. So just so you guys know, this is not a podcast episode. This is just strictly a review. It's going to be a long review, so it almost is a podcast.
Yeah.
But we're still going to have our normal weekly episode where we talk about news and all that stuff, which will be Tuesday, which will be tomorrow if you're listening on a Monday.
Right. So, yeah, Captain Marvel. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about this movie?
Captain Marvel is the most conflicted I've felt about an MCU movie in quite some time, I think.
I think I agree, yeah.
Yeah, so people who have kept up with our podcast or us on social media know that we didn't really like the trailers and we really weren't that excited about the movie. I did get some excitement like the day of because I'm like, we're another step closer to Endgame.
Right.
And it's another MCU movie, which I'm excited about.
Oh, yeah.
And before the movie even started, I think we were both kind of just more excited to see what the post-credits scene was going to be.
Yeah, we were more excited about how this would lead into Endgame more than the actual movie itself.
Yeah.
So,
with that being said, I still don't really understand how I feel about this movie because I've been really back and forth.
Really?
The best way I could kind of gather my thoughts on how I felt about it was to kind of just rank where I saw the movie within the MCU films, and it's definitely like in the lower half of my ranking. Overall, there were some things that I was expecting to bother me.
Yeah.
Performance, lack of villain, or so, and I thought they were gonna be over reliant on nostalgia.
Speaking of the villain, I don't think they marketed Talos at all. I don't think he's in any of the... Well, maybe you see his face.
Yeah.
But it's not like in some movie trailers. Maybe I think a good example would be like Iron Man 3, for example, where it's like the Mandarin, and even Infinity War, it's like Thanos and things like that. They make it clear who the villain is. Captain Marvel was just like, it was more... It makes sense why, but they were more focused on Captain the hero,
Marvel,
which is very much like a Phase 1 movie.
Yeah,
and
that's the way it kind of feels.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
But at the same time, it does feel like a Phase 1 film for sure. Like, you almost expect that little Paramount logo to pop up in front of it, like when you're watching the first Avenger. But at the same time, if it was a Phase 1 movie, it didn't reach the quality of a Phase 1 movie at the same time. Even though it feels like it, I feel like those ones were better.
It's like, I was kind of thinking about it earlier, and it's almost in the same vein of like the first Thor movie a little bit, where it's...
That's fair.
I think, because I was thinking about it, this is non-spoilers, so I won't get into like the details or whatever, but it's like, she fought, obviously from the trailer, goes to Earth and things just like Thor, and it's kind of gets acclimated with the planet there.
Exactly.
And it made me think, I was like, it's kind of similar to Thor, but the thing with this movie that I think is the way I would describe it is it takes aspects from all of the other Marvel movies, or at least a lot of them.
Big time.
Yes, but it doesn't do them quite as well.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, it takes aspects from Guardians in terms of like having the score and the soundtrack.
Sure.
But it's not that great of a score
or
soundtrack.
What was what's the most surprising thing about, like, what did you go in expecting, like, or let's say you went in with low expectations about one particular thing, but ended up being surprised and thought it actually was the opposite, or it was like good. Like, for me, I was really concerned about just Captain Marvel in general. I was like, I love Brie Larson. I think she's a phenomenal actress. But I was really concerned about her in this movie, if she would fit.
Same.
And I actually, for the most part, there were some times where it fell flat for me.
Yeah.
And it seemed like she was trying to find her way within this universe.
Right.
But for the most part, I was actually pretty surprised by her performance. She was kind of witty.
Yeah.
There's sometimes she was a little bit annoying.
There's parts where, like, I enjoy her banter with the other characters, specifically like Jude Law's character and Samuel L. Jackson's character. That she has some nice little quips and things like that, or not quips, but just jokes and banter, and like to show she's not like a stick in the mud. I was expecting when I went into this movie that she was going to be super stoic, because that's how the trailers portray her, and that she was going to be like kind of boring or mean maybe, and
I thought she was going to be Mrs. Know-It-All.
Yeah, like she was just going to be kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And for the most part, she seemed to be fine. Like and I think Brie Larson did a fine job.
I think she did a fine job, but like, even though I was surprised, and I'll praise her performance, like, I have no problem with her being Captain Marvel now. At the same time, I was like, maybe anybody else could probably do this too. Like, I was thinking, like, maybe there's a few other actresses that, like, when you think of Hemsworth at Thor, you're like, holy crap, who could do that?
Yeah,
or Evans now. Or Downey Jr.
Oh, absolutely.
Even Black Widow, like early Black Widow, I think Scarlett Johansson really owned that role.
Yeah,
right from Iron Man 2.
Oh, for sure.
With Captain Marvel, I haven't felt like, oh, that's Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
like, nobody else is going to be able to do that, and maybe it'll change over time.
That's what I anticipate with Endgame, is that I feel I believe we've talked about it before, that the Russo brothers tend to elevate all of the characters that they really interact with. Yeah, especially like there's just so many characters that are so much better because of the Russos, and I think if there's any weakness in Brie Larson being Captain Marvel is more the script's fault than her fault.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just, I think there's sometimes like the dialogue and like the stuff that she does isn't as like, just doesn't hit its mark.
It's not what you would expect from an MCU film.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. I'm curious. It makes me even more excited for Endgame, is how she'll be in that movie. Because I'm like, okay, this didn't fail for me. Like, Captain Marvel, or her as Captain Marvel, didn't fail for me. Yeah.
Which got me excited about Endgame, like you said. The Russo brothers, whatever character they get, they tend to elevate and make a little bit better.
Right.
Or add something unique to their story or their struggle.
Yeah.
They give them some sort of, like, conflict.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited to see what they do with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I feel about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of things
I don't
that
want to spoil anything.
to get into stuff that's not going to be spoilery. Overall, I'll say I enjoyed the movie. I wasn't disappointed by the movie. There was some things that I didn't like, that it did have some problems and some flaws. One thing that I didn't like, I don't think this is spoilers, but like just I mentioned earlier how it kind of takes some from other movies is like there's one song in particular towards the end of the movie like that she's fighting with, and it just
I'm
doesn't.
Just a Girl.
Yeah, I'm Just
No
a Girl.
Doubt.
We'll talk about that. I'll talk about my opinion like with that one scene. But that song just didn't fit. I actually have a better song idea, but I'll just say if you've seen the movie, I think a better song would be Bad Reputation, which is.
Which one?
I'm trying to.
There's a song where like Shawn Mendes says "Bad Reputation."
No,
that's in my head.
No,
now.
It's not the Taylor Swift song. It's the song. It's like an '80s song, and I know the movie's set in the '90s, but I don't feel like you have to have all of these things. But it's the song. It's like I don't give a damn about my bad reputation, and it's like it's in Shrek.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and I'm like. I was talking with a friend. And
that
I was
would be
like,
cool.
I was like, that's a good thing. But anyways, I'll try to. That's not really a spoiler thing. That's just
not too much.
Anyways,
so let's get into some things that I felt like we're not going to spoil anything, but some things that I felt were a letdown. And this is based on. I think this is based purely on social media talk.
Yeah.
But Goose the Cat for me, what a freaking overhyped thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I like cats.
It felt like
it was just like way overdone,
blown out of proportion. I'm like, okay, this is a cat. Cool.
Yeah, it's like a cool gimmick in a way.
Yeah,
I thought it was.
There was things that like people talked about that it got overhyped.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think Captain Marvel is almost kind of unremarkable. Like it doesn't have its own identity. I think because like I said, it takes from stuff. One of the things is I don't know if it was you or not, or if you thought this or not. But the action scenes didn't really stand out to me that much.
Let me just say this. This isn't spoilers, but there is, in the very beginning of the movie, we get a couple shots of Brie Larson running, and this is one of the worst parts, I think. She looked so awkward running down these hallways.
Like hallways.
And I was like, holy crap, has she never ran in her life before? Because I was like, I got really concerned at that point. I was like, I don't know about this. It was very early on in the movie that this happened.
Yeah.
Along with the action,
it doesn't have any stakes. Is also another thing.
It absolutely doesn't have any stakes because they never really. There really isn't much depth to the character and to the plot in general.
Yeah.
Like the overall conflict that's going on. You know what the conflict is, but you don't understand why it's happening.
Exactly.
And that was one of the things that bothered me. And there's a kind of a twist in the movie that I felt like could have held a little bit more weight.
Yes.
Had they actually like went back on the history of some of this conflict that's going on. This isn't a spoiler, but I think most people know that there's the overall conflict the story is about the Kree and Skrull.
Yeah, it's war. It's Brie Larson. Carol Danvers is like in the Kree side, and the other side are the Skrulls, which we've known that Talos is the main villain.
Yep.
And it's a war that it's in the comics and everything like that.
Very popular.
Yeah, but they don't ever explain really why they're in this war. Like they kind of give like a little bit of backstory to the Skrulls. We know
it's a big deal to them.
Yeah, it's like this big like conflict, and we know like the Skrulls are like terrorists.
They're spies and terrorists,
and I'm stuff. Like. But like they don't really show that, or they don't explain like why they're terrorists. Like what is the Skrulls' aim, and what is the Kree's aim? Like what is going on? Like they don't really have any motives except they're just like, I don't like you. I don't like you either.
Exactly.
Like I just didn't get that.
Yeah, and it kind of like, even though I liked the twist, it kind of like the fact that they didn't like flesh out that whole conflict.
Yeah.
Kind of like lessened the impact for me.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I felt.
And that's why I feel conflicted about this film.
Yeah.
Is because there's certain things that I liked, and then there's certain things that like they just don't. It doesn't work together. And even though I like it, it doesn't really work for what they were trying to do, or even work in terms of like source material. Like the source material is kind of in a way ruined, because the Kree Skrull war is a big deal, and it's a big deal for Carol Danvers' character, which doesn't really... not much comes of it. There's more MCU movies that are going to come out.
Oh, yeah.
Heck, there might be some sort of tie-in with Endgame that we don't know about.
Yeah.
I don't see how they would, but there could be some sort of tie-in with that.
You saying like the Skrulls could come back?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's always possible. But overall, those were some of the major things that I didn't like, and I think the big surprise for me was, I did for the most part like Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Aside from the action being kind of meh.
Yeah. I'll say this also isn't spoilery either. I'm trying to like tread lightly before we jump into the spoiler section.
I'm dying to talk about these things.
But one thing that I think the best part of the movie, and I believe most people would agree, is the chemistry between her and Nick Fury. That's probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah, Fury actually is like a pretty big
his
role in the movie.
His best role since Winter Soldier.
Oh, definitely.
In this film. It's his biggest impact, I think, and we can go on and on about the things that everybody's already talked about, like the de-aging technology is great.
Oh yeah, that's great.
All that stuff. I'm a big sucker for like 90s buddy cop films, like Lethal Weapon, and there's actually a Die Hard movie with Samuel L. Jackson that I kind of got the vibes from, which that's where I kind of fell in love with the movie.
Right.
It was like
same.
the beginning. I was like, this really works between these two characters, and Samuel L. Jackson's freaking... It's like not even just like MCU movies. This is one of my favorite roles that I've just seen him in.
Yeah,
because it kind of did play on the nostalgia thing, because that's the type of movies that I grew up on.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's where he really thrives, is in that sort of like 90s vibe going on or whatever.
It's really cool to see that in, because you see all these movies like Pulp Fiction's another example, which is also technically I guess buddy, because him and John Travolta and things. It's like that was kind of Samuel L. Jackson's like prime, or maybe his like rise. Like he's been in a lot of great movies since then, but that was where he was like in a lot of stuff, and it's cool because it's like it feels like he's back in that again.
Exactly. Yeah. And so far, for the most part, Nick Fury has, or we should just call him Fury. Nick Fury, for the most part, has been a very serious character. Is all about his business and getting things done. That's the version of him we've known. Yeah. And we get a different side of him, a younger side of him. Kind of
lighthearted, a little bit more fun.
Which I like. I think it should be that way, because he needs to evolve over time. Even though we don't get to see him evolve, it's kind of cool to know that there was this other side of him when he very optimistic and fun side of him.
I like seeing that. And that was the thing. I remember there was a point in one of the trailers where he's petting the cat, and they're like, this is so out of character. And it's like, it makes more sense now, because it's like, this is 20 years before anything that we ever saw. You know? This movie takes place like 95.
The type of like energy and like youthfulness that we have now, we're not going to have in 20 years.
We're
going to be those grumpy old men. You know?
Exactly.
So I think that does work for the most part. What do you think about just villain overall?
I don't.
This is the whole third act of the film is kind of where it started to fall apart for me.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's the third act isn't bad per se. I just like it was just kind of like I'm kind of.
There was like some things going on that really just a lot of things started to happen.
Yeah,
they throw a lot at you at the end of the
into
film.
the second act and like into the third act.
And then it just I kind of got distracted because I'm thinking like. God, can't spoil, but there's things that I'm thinking about, like that how this works.
We were still thinking about, and we were like looking at each other.
Yeah,
like,
and it distracted me because I'm trying to think about how does this work in terms of fitting in with the other MCU films.
Yeah,
and that's where like I started getting really distracted.
Yeah,
and
because
really
that's one thing is it connects a lot with the grand scheme of the MCU, because you've got multiple different things, especially like you've got Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy 1, who is very minor. He's barely in the thing at all.
Hardly
and it's like
at all.
There's just it tries to connect with a lot of stuff, and then it makes it hard to like you'll just start thinking about things, and I feel like there's definitely going to be some like they retcon some things in this movie. We'll get into in the spoilers. I can't talk about anything specifically, but I don't know. I think I've given all the thoughts I can really give without spoiling.
Same.
Overall, like, would you recommend to go see this movie?
Of course, if you're into the MCU. I think you can have fun with this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like whether you're diehard or not,
Mm-hmm.
if you are like a serious like huge fan of the comics, of course you're gonna go see it.
Yeah.
But I can see you not liking this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think we said we're not going to give scores for this movie. We're just going to state like if I would recommend to go see it as well. It may actually exceed your expectations in the terms of like what other people are saying.
It depends on where you're at.
Yeah, really, because I've seen some people just love this movie,
Sure.
you know, and it's really all up to your personal opinion. However, for me, it is definitely in the bottom hemisphere of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, just for like context, I did my ranking. I did a ranking, kind of a rough ranking, really quickly, just to figure out like where I have it.
Yeah.
And right now it's right around like 16 out of 21 for me.
What's above it and what's below it?
I can pull it up right now. It's like, I'll show you.
Because this is the 23rd or the 20th?
This 21st.
Oh, it's 21st.
Endgame
Okay.
would be the 22nd.
Okay.
The only thing that I have behind Captain Marvel is Thor 2, which I know you like more than I do.
Yeah.
Thor 1, which I just don't like, and a lot of people really love that movie. That's totally fine. I have the Incredible Hulk. Incredible Hulk, I actually think is a pretty good movie, but I feel like the MCU kind of refuses to acknowledge that film.
Yeah.
Or Marvel Studios, so it kind of just like takes a back seat for me. And then there's Iron Man 2 and Ant-Man and the Wasp that I have behind Captain Marvel, which I'm sure those are movies that you probably like more than I do.
I think for the most part, all those movies besides Thor 1, I like better than Captain Marvel for me. Like, I to be honest, if I don't have a ranking yet,
Sure. But
I think Captain Marvel is probably like second to dead last.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's any other things, but like, there's these movies that I've rewatched, especially because last year I watched all of them again, and it had been like it's been a while since I've seen some of these movies. It's really interesting that I'd highly recommend to anyone, by the way, to go back and watch all of the MCU movies as they came out in order maybe do it before Endgame. It's a great time if you have the time, do it. It really gives you perspective, and I think you'll actually enjoy a lot of the movies. A lot more than you thought you would. Especially, it feels like you're binging this really grand and epic TV show. So, and I think that's what it's like currently right now. Like on its own, like Captain Marvel is like I like it. I don't love it, but I think if I do that again, which I probably in my life, I will definitely go back and rewatch all of them in order again. I think it's actually going to stand out to me more. That's what tends to happen, especially when I go back and watch these for a second time. Sure. So it's an entertaining film. It doesn't shine in all areas. I think it's just the main thing for me is I was thinking about this. If you compare it to a great MCU movie like Winter Soldier or Thor Ragnarok or I don't know,
Infinity War.
Yeah, exactly. Like you put it next to those, it's just like it makes Captain Marvel. It makes Captain Marvel look so much worse because it's like those movies are so great, and this movie is just like. It just does not reach those levels. Now, if you take away that comparison, I feel like you like it more.
Casual audiences will have fun.
Oh,
I think our theater, for the most part, had fun.
Everybody. I think to be honest, from what I could tell, we were the only like real major nerds or enthusiasts in our theater.
Yeah.
Everybody else was, and that's another thing that I'll say is a lot of people are going to go see this movie because of the post-credit scene for Infinity War.
Exactly.
They went online and they
hardly
saw
anybody left our theater for the. There's a few people that
like
left
3
before
people
the but like the theater was packed all the way until the very end. So there's people that are invested, whether or not they're like as invested as we are. They're invested in the story.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying before we started recording was that they brilliantly executed how it's before or it's in between Infinity War and Endgame, and they really like almost it's like a promotion for this film because she's going to be in Endgame, and they're like, okay, how are they going to connect this?
It's like you have to know because they set that post-credit scene up so well. You have to know like what's going to happen next, you know?
Yeah.
So
overall, though, I would definitely recommend you go see this movie and just develop your own opinion for yourself.
Also, like we said, our expectations were a little bit lower for the film, which is why we're probably a little bit more optimistic than if we had been like over enthusiastic about the trailers or something like that.
You set your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed. Yeah. I think
I learned my lesson after the Last Jedi.
Yeah. Thankfully, yeah. So
Cool. So
we
we're good
enjoyed
on
it.
we're good on non-spoilers, right?
Yeah. So if anyone has not seen the movie yet, I would recommend, unless you just want to be spoiled, I would leave now because we are about to go into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. All right, spoilers.
Yes.
I don't like how Nick Fury's eye was scratched
100% agree. That was probably the lamest thing that's happened in the MCU ever.
It was so disappointing. I was rewatching The Winter Soldier. I watched about half of it the other day. I think actually right after Captain Marvel, I was just like, I just want to watch Winter Soldier now. And the line that he states where he says, "The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye," loses all meaning. Because of this.
That was the last time you trusted somebody?
I'm like, you trusted a cat?
That was the last person you thing you trusted was the cat.
And also the cat's it's just like,
oh, it's such a gimmick.
Yeah,
it's so
it felt like a crappy version of Groot.
Yeah,
because there's one point where he's holding. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't hate the cat. Like I think it's fine or whatever, but it got way blown out of proportion. And the thing is, there's like literally a scene that I'm like, this is straight out of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, where the tentacles are like down the hallway or whatever. There's a scene from the first Guardians of the Galaxy where Groot uses his arm and like kills all those guys, and it's like, or he like impales all of them, and I'm like, this is just from Guardians of the Galaxy.
You know what's funny is because Nicole Perlman helped write the script for this film.
Yeah.
She also helped write the script for the first Guardians
film.
So I'm not sure if there's any connection or correlation with it. We also thought there was a lot of elements of The Force Awakens.
I was talking about that with my dad. Yeah. It's like, it just feels like a mixed shuffle of Force Awakens events.
The whole film, it does feel like there's a lot of just elements borrowed from a lot of other movies, whether it be in the MCU or Star Wars. Mm-hmm. It does feel that way. I feel like we're gonna go straight into like bashing this film after we're like,
that's sort of like it's just there's some problems. I guess the next thing it's not a problem now that I think about it, because they could easily explain this. But how did Marvel get the Tesseract? Because we were in the movie. And we'll give some detail.
I knew that was coming, by the way. Yeah. I knew it was coming. When they said something about hyperspeed travel, I was like, Tesseract. Like, that's the best way to travel fast. Yeah. I was like, they're using the Tesseract.
As soon as I saw just like the blue cube thing, I'm like, it's the Tesseract. But so, when we were in the movie and they revealed that the Tesseract was what was powering that engine and that Marvel had it, I leaned over to you and I was like, what? I was like, because at the end of the first Avenger, Howard Stark gets the Tesseract. Yeah. And we know he's a founding member of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep.
So technically, from what I can gather, S.H.I.E.L.D. already had the Tesseract.
They should have been in control of that.
How did Marvel get it?
I don't know.
Because it's clearly not a fake, and clearly Howard Stark did not get a fake.
No.
Unless they're gonna say like, oh yeah, Marvel, like, I don't know how old Marvel is, but maybe she like goes down into the water, replaces it with a fake one, he gets the fake one, and she has it the entire time. I just don't feel like that's gonna happen. So I really hope in the future we see, maybe there's a movie that would be set in between. I'd love like a Hank Pym 80s Ant-Man movie or something with the Tesseract. That'd be cool. But anyways, like, for them to explain how the Tesseract got all the way from Howard Stark having it to Marvel having it, because that was just that just bothered me, and that was what took me out of the movie, or took both of us out of the movie.
That's when we really started just thinking.
Yeah, because we were just like we totally just got sidetracked from the plot, and we were
that was right around the time that was happening where the twist happened.
Yes.
with the scrolls.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, I'm trying to think of all this stuff going on right now, and I'm just like, I can't even think about appreciate this moment.
Yeah, it's I don't know. That's just like one thing that like it really bothered me. Thankfully, it wasn't like. They can't explain how it happens. I'm just
they
curious,
will figure out a way, because the freaking Marvel Studios is just smart enough to do something.
Yeah, like I hope they thought about that, because there's like a few things like that, and another thing which I'll get into just after this is like I hope they thought about this when they did it, because another thing I texted you either last night, I think it was last night. So I was thinking about it and I was explaining it to my dad. In The Winter Soldier, because I was rewatching it the other day, like I said.
Yeah.
There's a point in the movie. It's right after Nick Fury gets killed, or killed, quote unquote. Yeah. And Captain America is talking to Pierce.
Yeah.
And Pierce is telling him a story, and he shows him a picture of Nick Fury and Pierce being sworn in.
Yeah.
In that picture, which I presume is in between the events of Captain Marvel and The Winter Soldier.
Definitely.
he has a shaved head. He looks much older. He's definitely not young.
Oh, yeah.
He has a goatee, but both of his eyes are fine.
Exactly.
So it's like
continuity errors.
Like what if it's like, are they gonna like what if they retcon that Goose actually didn't scratch out the eye? That it was like he's like, oh, that he like it actually healed. But it just doesn't make any sense because he clearly picked out the glass eye.
Right when that happened, there was this guy that was hilarious next to us to the right.
Yeah.
He was like, no, please do not tell me that's how he lost his eye.
Yes.
I was like dying.
Yeah.
I was just like thinking the same thing.
Because you thought it was gonna be like this epic thing, like it would have made so much sense.
I thought you're thinking, you're like, oh god, Samuel Jackson's in this movie. He has both his eyes. There's the scrolls. Like something's gonna be some huge twist.
It makes so much sense. And then it was the freaking cat.
The cat.
I'm like,
yeah.
I think that's probably the most upset. The thing
when he was holding it, I was like, God.
Yeah.
I was like, here it comes.
And then I was like, we both looked over and we were like, no.
Yeah.
There's no like they're gonna be like, oh, his eye is fine. Like they're gonna juke you out. No.
That was painful,
because
man.
I think even Talos, he like looks over and he's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
like it's like because
I probably wouldn't care as much if it wasn't for the Winter Soldier. Freaking Russo brothers, they make everything great.
Yeah,
and then, like now we have to rely on all these other people to make it like stand up to their work. But I'm like, they set that up so well in the Winter Soldier.
Yes,
last time I trusted someone else, it was so impactful, and you're like, "Ooh, what happened with that?" You know? And then we get a freaking...
It's cool, like, there would have been awesome... Because in the comics... Well, this isn't, like... Nobody... I don't think anybody scratches out his eye, but in the comics, like, it was, like, a simple thing. Like, a bomb blew off, and shrapnel fell into his eye.
I'd take that.
Yeah.
I would take that over the cat.
But, like, it was just, like, the... Flurkin. That's
Flurkin,
yeah.
Flurkin.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just... That's probably the one thing that I'm most upset about is just, like, the way... And I know it's such a small thing, and people are going to be like, quit whining, whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm like... But it does.
It does matter when you've kind of like you've been invested.
Yeah,
I don't like when cool things are like that's the reason I don't like the lightsaber thing in The Last Jedi. Where it feels like there's like a cool moment and then it gets like
cheapened or it loses its impact.
Yeah, it turns into a cheap joke.
Yeah,
you know, they try to like swing a left hook on you, and that's where I don't like it. I'm like, for a cheap joke.
They do it because they. It's not like, I don't know if it's our fault, but it's like they get you to have these expectations where it's actually like this moment, you know?
Especially with the freaking scrolls being in the film, dude. I mean,
yeah.
That was like the perfect opportunity.
And you see early on in the film, there is a part which people somewhat predicted. It wasn't for the entire movie, because Coulson is in the movie very briefly.
Yeah.
But that he actually is a Skrull. At one point in the car with him, and then Sam, he hurts his eye, and
I thought that's what it was getting.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, so the trailers kind of misled us. Like, he loses his eye kind of early on in the film, you know. But then it's like you're like, oh, his eye's actually fine.
Yeah.
Like, so they kind of bait and switch you, and then they do it, and then they just kind of throw that out there. But let's move on from this.
So for me, the part of the movie, there's two major things that bothered me throughout the movie that made me just, because I actually really liked the first like half of the film.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
Yeah,
even though there was like little things here and there, like Brie Larson's running, that was like weird. Like that really bothered me. I was like, dude, it's.
I mean, I think the reason it's so I think this is why I didn't laugh at it as much. At first I was like, she is running kind of funny, but she has these two metal things on her arm.
Sure.
So she's like weighted down.
Okay, that when you say that, it makes sense.
Because if you run with like two gigantic metal cylinders,
yeah, because she was fine the rest of the film. It's just like, so okay, that makes sense. I'll give you that. But for the most part, I loved the first half. I was like, I was actually getting worried. I'm just like, why am I enjoying this as much as I am? Because I had lower expectations.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to like build up too much like hype and then be let down, which ended up happening anyways. But two of the major things that bothered me, we can get into whichever one you want to, was the overall plot of the conflict. I want to say the plot, because the plot is mostly about Carol Danvers discovering herself, and it's the conflict. The Kree-Skrull War was one of the major things that bothered me, because like we kind of pretty much talked about, there was no depth in that. Yeah,
they don't really explain it. It's because obviously you figure out later on that the Kree, they pull a twist from the comics. The Kree are actually the bad guys and the Skrulls are the good guys.
Which was like, even then I was like, I don't trust this. I was like, when he was like, going on, because at the beginning of the film, her vision showed that it was Talos coming to shoot her.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, I don't trust this. I was like, I wasn't trusting the Skrulls until their families like came out in that ship.
Because even then, like, he reveals that, I was just like, oh, he's just messing with her.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't true, whatever. Like, because I knew before the film that Jude Law was playing Jan Rog, and I didn't know he was playing the main villain, but I knew that he was going to be a bad guy, and I thought it was like either there's going to be a twist and he's going to be the main villain, or it's going to be like a Baron Mordo thing where he's going to be like a good guy, and then he's going to and then switches later on in like a future film or something, and but they end up like revealing that, but then when they reveal that, it's like you feel sympathetic for the Skrulls, but then you never understood why the Skrulls were attacking the Kree and why the Kree want to kill the Skrulls.
Because like you need to understand like why they're at odds.
Yeah.
Or for whatever they didn't explain either side at all.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, we've been in this war for a long time. You know, whatever. But they never actually explain like, what's going on here?
I think I heard someone explain, it may have been like, maybe it was a little piece of line of dialogue, or maybe I just imagined this. I don't know. Someone please, correct us if we're wrong, if maybe they do explain it. From what I can tell, they don't. But I think it was something like the Kree actually want to build their perfect empire. It may be Talos that says that. He's like, they don't want, like, they want to make their empire perfect, so they're wiping out the Skrulls. I guess maybe that's what it was, but even then, it just feels kind of like well, then why didn't Carol realize that earlier on in the film that like the Kree were the bad guys? Like, because she just kind of
sure.
I think it may be one of those. The best way I can put it is it's almost kind of similar to Star Wars and stories where they flip the roles.
Sure.
Like there's a character, for example, maybe like in Rebels. Spoilers for Star Wars Rebels. I know this is weird, but like. Agent Callus is on the Empire side, and then he slowly realizes that the Empire is evil, and it's like because he thinks they're good, and then he switches. But for this, it's just like you don't really see the Kree do anything evil. It's just like just like you think. And besides, like the Skrulls kind of were like terrorists, so it's like it's one of those things. It's like they're both kind of like you feel more sympathetic with the Skrulls,
sure,
because of their families.
The families coming out,
and that's like okay. At least they brought that out.
That was the first time I let my guard down, like because even then I was like, I don't trust these guys.
Yeah,
like, there's no way that they're the good guys.
Yeah,
which is a problem if you're looking at them possibly doing like a secret invasion or something like that.
And like we said, earlier that like they could easily come back, or maybe there's like a rogue group of Skrulls who actually are bad. Sure. They could easily retcon that. So maybe there's like some bad Skrulls and good Skrulls. Like, I mean, it's not like all of the entire alien race is good. Like, I mean, that's I guess that's kind of like a presumption.
It's like humanity.
Yeah,
same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, people really like the secret invasion thing, and I'm not super familiar with that from the comics. I just know like the basic gist of it. So we'll see if that happens or not, but. I do like the Kree kind of being bad. I mean, I don't mind the actual twist as much as like the twist. I was fine with. I don't mind the Skrulls being good
as well.
But it's just the whole like they don't really explain
exactly. It lessens the impact of it. I think
it was if it was almost something kind of like Black Panther, for example, where they kind of have like an opening thing and how it explains like the history of Wakanda. Almost kind of like at one point in the movie, maybe the artificial intelligence kind of gives like a wink and a nudge to the audience, which maybe that wouldn't have been good, but either way, just like explain this is what the Kree Skrull War is. Like,
some sort of back history.
And then Talos is like, he's like, no, they brainwashed you. This is what's been going on. It's like we were attacking the Kree because they took our people or they took our land or something like that. Then you're like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, the Kree were lying to Carol. Now she realizes the truth, and now she realizes the Kree are bad. That would have just been like a simple thing to fix it, and I don't think they do anything like that in the film. That's the thing is I can't really say because I got so distracted by the Tesseract thing that I'm like,
it was all happening at the same time.
Yeah,
and then that's right around the time that Carol kind of freed herself from her being handicapped by that whatever chip was in her neck.
Yeah, and then she just goes God mode.
And that actually is a good segue into like one of my concerns.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say for this film it wasn't like a huge problem, but one of my concerns
is it for Endgame?
how freaking powerful she is.
Mhm.
Like, she just flew straight through a ship. And one of the things
Which is cool.
Yeah. But I'm like, I don't actually understand, like, I don't understand her, like, powers. Yeah, I'm just like, she just shoots things and she's like, out of her
like
hands.
a photon. Like, that's what also a thing, I was listening to someone, and like, in the comics, Carol gets her powers from Mar-Vell.
Passed
and
down.
then, and that was like, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, Mar-Vell's about to die. She's going to transfer her power or
Yeah.
something. But Mar-Vell didn't have any powers either.
No.
And so she gets her powers from the engine.
Generator type thing.
With the Tesseract. So do her powers come from the Tesseract? Or is it like, how did she absorb it but not the other people?
It's I don't understand. Like,
yeah, they don't really...
And then she can fly, and then she's like practically invincible.
Yeah, like, they don't explain... It's like, that's like a weird thing, because like, it makes sense. Almost every other Marvel movie, they explain why people have powers, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Thor, well, he's a god.
Yeah.
Iron Man from his suit. Captain America from a serum. Spider-Man from a spider bite. Black Panther's from the herbs.
Yep.
This is just kind of like, the generator exploded, and I guess she just took the essence.
And she happened to survive it.
Yeah.
Which
like,
is just...
it's
But like, what exactly, like... is it? Like, I feel like at any moment she could do something crazy, like power wise, and I'd be like, oh, okay. I'm like, she could do that too, you know?
Yeah,
like, I don't understand what exactly
it doesn't
is.
really make a whole lot of sense.
What's her? And I want to know, like, what's her kryptonite? Like, what's the one thing that's like? Because I thought the thing that was gonna hold her back was just herself. Her like, they go on and on about how she's just too emotional and things like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't her being emotional that was holding her back. It was just the chip.
Yeah.
And that's when she said she's been fighting with one hand behind her back. That's why she couldn't win, because of that stupid chip.
Yeah.
And then once that was like off of her, she's invincible. Like, nobody could touch her.
And that's the thing, is that I hope, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, like in just a second, but
Sure.
I hope that she's actually equally matched with Thanos. Not that, like, I hope it's not just like a one-hit punch and then Thanos is just out. I don't see the Russo brothers doing that, but I hope that, like, I was explaining to my dad, and this is a great point. It was another review that I was listening to, and he explains it really well, that powerful characters can still have stakes. And, for example, Man of Steel, a film that I love, I know a lot of people don't, but Superman... he is incredibly powerful. People know this. He's one of the most powerful superheroes ever. But what Man of Steel does so great is that the villains are 40 of him, and they're also extremely well trained with way better weaponry than he is, and they're trying to terraform the entire freaking planet.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel is like just killing random dudes in little spaceships, and
they're no match for her.
Exactly.
That's why that's what my concern is. Like, we have to find. Every film that she's in, she's gonna have to meet her, like, her version, her, like, the evil version of herself.
Which hopefully it'll have some cool epic battles, because, like,
it could be Thanos, but at the same time, it's almost like, is she worthy of that?
Yeah.
Like, because I'd like to see it like,
hey, maybe
an older character go head to head with Thanos.
Man, I'd love to see this. If whenever they get to the Fantastic Four, maybe she comes along and helps them fight Galactus. See, like, that would be a cool match.
That would.
Or like her versus the Silver Surfer before he turns good.
It's got to be some sort of god-like, like a celestial.
Yeah, she's never going to be able to fight a regular dude because she's just going to destroy him.
We saw that in the third act of the film. Like,
literally, he's like, don't give in to your emotions. He's like
knock me down.
Just like.
Which, I was like, that was anticlimactic.
At first, I didn't like that, but then she said, like, I don't have anything to prove to you. I was like, oh, okay, I like that. But yeah, so hopefully they'll find like a good balance with her character, because really, her, Thor, Doctor Strange, and Scarlet Witch are like the most powerful characters in the MCU. So far, every single one of them has had their match, because Doctor Strange has had other sorcerers. Yeah. Thor has had other gods. Yeah. Scarlet Witch has had people, like, she's not as well trained, so she's not as, like, she's also got people like...
She should have been the most powerful character, I think, in the MCU. I think she was for a while.
Yeah.
Well, now it's like, it's so clearly Captain Marvel now.
Yeah.
There's, like, no question about it, in my opinion.
Anyways, I wanted to backtrack a bit. Back to the engine that you stated. This is like a really weird thing that doesn't make any sense to me until someone actually pointed it out. Yeah. Why did they want this warp speed engine when they can clearly travel through faster than light? They're going through multiple, like, galaxies. Yeah. Because they're like, we'll be there in like 20 hours or something, which is still like, oh, that's a long time, but it's still like to be traveling through that space.
Really
that's still fast.
Yeah.
And like, so why did Jan Rog and the Kree care so much about this engine?
I don't know. I mean,
did they want it for the Tesseract, or were they just lying? Were
it could have been that. I mean, the Tesseract probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Because there's more to just space travel with the Tesseract.
Because I guess that makes sense. That does make sense because they wanted the engine, and then she shoots it, but then like later he kind of gets mad, but then he utilizes her for using because she gets her powers, right. And then later on they're like, we want the Tesseract. Yeah. So maybe. But then, don't they say later on they want to use the Tesseract for light speed or something?
Dude,
I really need to rewatch.
Like, there's a lot of things that
it just makes me scratch my head.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can't really just like the story wise you can't really just flow and go along with.
Yeah,
there's a lot of times where you're taken out because you're either thinking about what's going on in this plot and this storyline, or you're thinking about how it's connecting or how it's like meshing together with other MCU movies, past and future, which it takes you out of.
It just kind of like they didn't think through a lot of the little subtle details,
which us nerds and people on the internet are always going to catch on to.
And then it's just going to become a huge problem. Like I think there's like a great example of like how they actually they fix the retcon, and maybe they'll be able to do this. Mm-hmm. But in like Thor Ragnarok, when Hela's going through the armory, the Asgardian armory, there's the Infinity Gauntlet. She's like fake. I'm like, oh, that's cool because it was in Thor 1, and you see
something that they would need to explain.
Yeah,
it's like
just what. So maybe they'll go back and like fix or not. See, it's hard. Like, there's no point to go back and fix some of these things. But I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna have to rewatch it.
This is it. Like Endgame, I feel like is really just gonna wrap up this whole like anything can change.
Yeah.
The whole past can be shifted because of Endgame.
We pretty much know there's going to be time travel, like so.
Yeah.
So it's at this point, like with all the leaks or not leaks, but just like they've clearly made it out to be like there's going to be time travel. So we'll see. Maybe that's what they were just like. We'll fix it. Maybe time travel has something to do with it. I don't know.
So we're getting close to probably ending this review.
Yeah, I think we've kind of.
Yeah, I think one thing I do want to say is like I think there's potential for Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
For sure.
I actually did love Ben Mendelsohn as Talos.
I just love Ben Mendelsohn in everything.
Yeah, and what I really liked about that whole choice of him is that when you see these like A-list actors, they want the shine. Yeah. You know, and you don't really see a lot of him, like Ben Mendelsohn. He's pretty much under all that prosthetic makeup the whole time. Which I really enjoyed. I was like, oh, they didn't like have him be human form for half the movie or anything like that. He's pretty much only in his human form when he needs to be. Yeah. Like when he has to like kind of conceal his identity. For the most part, I like that he was like just cool with being under all that makeup, and I thought he was great. I think he's very charismatic. And
speaking of the makeup, I do think the Skrulls looked a little funky. Like they just like they
look a little bit rubbery or
like they're a little plastic, and also like their mouths can't move as much. I think someone made a point out of that. Like
you could actually kind of even hear it in the way that they spoke.
It was kind of like
they're kind of restricted.
Yeah. I think the Skrulls design were just a little weird. Like I mean they got the chin and the ears, but it was like I think they went a little overboard, and like there was some people to the left of us that were dying laughing because like his daughter comes up like walks up and they just go because she's so ugly, and I'm like, yikes! I'm like, I know they're aliens, but it's like, they could.
I thought it was actually a boy, but we had a pretty fun crowd. To wrap this up, what happened was it was so funny, but like Grayson likes to run to the restroom right before right when the previews are hitting. You run to the restroom.
Oh yeah,
and he leaves, and as soon as he leaves, they're starting the movie. We're at Regal. And they do their little Regal intro or whatever before the previews hit. And they start the little intro. Grayson leaves. As soon as they leave, it cuts to like, there's like some sort of glitch in the film. Yeah. But it just cuts right into like something that's happening in the middle.
Like the first like 1/4 of the movie.
Yeah, first bit of the movie, it starts showing it. Yeah. And like, everybody is like screaming like, what the F? Like, what's going on? You know? And I was like, great. I'm like, Grayson walked out at the right time. Like, so like I saw like the whole part where her little AI or Marvel.
Was she in the green suit or was she in the?
She was in the green suit. Okay, no, she was in like a the robe looking thing. The gray robe looking thing.
Okay, so it was
she fought in with.
Okay, so it was the early part because she does it again later on, and I was like, I was wondering if it was actually like the later.
It was the first time that she actually went into that little thing, whatever.
Supreme intelligence thing.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's time will tell how we feel about
I think
this
movie. It's either going to age poorly or it may age a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think it's just hard to say, especially because they're introducing Captain Marvel at kind of a weird time. Some people say like, oh, they couldn't introduce her perfectly. I'm like, more perfectly, at least in terms of the timeline.
It's
I'm like,
their way of like kind of retconning like the whole idea. Like they should have had a female lead.
Yeah.
Forever ago, and I feel like this is their way of trying to like explain why there wasn't a female lead. So I don't know.
I almost feel like this honestly makes more sense, and I would have been a little bit more pleasant, or like not pleasant. What am I saying? Like I would have been a bit more pleased with it.
Sure.
Is, for example, Civil War. We didn't have a Spider-Man movie before Civil War. We knew he was going to be in it. Same thing with Black Panther. Both of those characters were introduced in Civil War without there being a prior movie. They did that fine.
Sure.
I almost kind of feel like Captain Marvel maybe should have come after Endgame. Maybe that wouldn't have made it as good.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that's probably why they did it, because of sales and stuff like.
That's how they needed that. They needed Endgame and Infinity War to launch this character. I think. Because Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel just isn't a big Marvel. It's not one of their biggest characters.
Yeah.
Like when you think of like female characters, you think of a lot of the X-Men. You think of Storm, Jean Grey, Rogue, like those are the strongest.
Most of the X-Men female characters are like the strongest ones.
Fantastic Four,
Susan Storm, and then a lot.
But they don't have the rights to those characters, so now they're making a Black Widow movie, which really should have came way earlier.
I think they should have done Black Widow.
They're doing
phase
it like
2.
It should. They're doing it like they're being reactionary. I think.
Yeah.
To their criticism, for the most part. MCU hasn't been criticized at all, and now they kind of got a little bit of backlash for not having a female character, especially after Wonder Woman succeeded and did so well. So now they're trying to kind of like they're trying to fast forward this whole process and get these characters in, but I don't even know how we got there, but overall I think we were like kind of fine on the movie.
It's like I said, it's in the lower hemisphere, but that's just because there's so many great Marvel movies that kind of overshadow it. But I like the movie. I'd recommend to go see it and just try to have fun with it. There's definitely some problems. It's not a perfect movie, but I mean, me and you for the most part we're fine. We're fine on it.
I've already turned the page on this movie, and I'm like, Endgame. Let's go.
Endgame literally is
about a month and a half away,
5-6 weeks away, something like that. And oh my god, I'm so ready, dude.
Yeah,
it's this movie like the post-credit scene. We didn't even talk about the post-credit scenes. Like, I'll say we'll just go over it real quick but the first one was great. I mean, literally just a clip from Endgame.
Sure.
I'm just like, all right, cool.
Definitely was just pulled straight from the film.
Oh, it was just like how, like I said, Ant-Man was with Civil War.
Yep.
Like, it just literally shows a clip from Civil War.
Yep.
Second one, whatever.
We've kind of come to expect that, like, you can probably walk out of the movie after the first
one,
scene, because usually it's just like a throwaway.
I think for the past maybe 4 or 5 films, all of the post-credit scenes, the second one at least, have just been not important. Like, okay, so like the one that I'm thinking back that was like before, that was just like funny and kind of pointless. It started with Spider-Man, then Thor Ragnarok was just like the Grandmaster walking out. What was that?
Oh yeah.
And then what was? I don't even remember what the post-credit scenes are for Black Panther.
Black Panther, there was the one where they go to the embassy. I think the U.S. embassy.
The second one's Bucky. That
one was good.
That was that one's
cool.
That one's fine.
He's like, "Where's the fight?" or where, something like that.
Yeah, and then Infinity War. Like, do they have a mid-credit scene? There's only a post-credit scene.
Crap. Let me think. I think there was only one.
Yeah, there's only one.
Yeah, it's just Captain Marvel.
So maybe there's just, I don't know. I guess we're kind of wrong about that. There's a few that are
okay.
That are. It's just, this is one of those where like, well, we don't have enough for 2, but like, would at least show that, hey, Goose threw up the Tesseract or whatever. But
we knew that was kind of coming, though.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, clearly we already know he has the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. That's all our thoughts on Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I had fun. I had fun just going to see it with you and just getting to talk about it.
We always have fun with these movies.
Exactly.
And I think actually the next one of these won't actually be Endgame if
Shazam.
It's Shazam.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, we're excited. We'll get more to that in our regular episode, which you guys will be able to listen to tomorrow, if you are listening to this the day that it releases.
Sure.
So, But like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, if you guys would follow us on our social media, it is at comicblast_. You can also find the podcast on pretty much anything now.
We're famous.
Yeah. We finally, obviously, we have it on iTunes now. We've got Spotify or wherever you're listening at. Thank you for supporting us.
Of course,
we truly appreciate it, and we continue to plan on putting out more content for you guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anything else?
Nope, that's it for me. I mean, we'll have the episode out tomorrow, and then our next review that you'll hear from us will be Shazam, so we're looking forward to that. And, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.